the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Nigeria's upper legislative chamber, the Senate, asked the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, take measures to tackle the current food insecurity in the country. President Bola Tinubu creates the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, a move expected to end the continuing clashes between herders and farmers. The House of Representatives asked the federal government to immediately suspend the implementation of the Samoa Agreement until all controversial clauses are addressed and spelled out. And Sano and NASU staged nationwide protests within campuses of public universities to demand the immediate release of their wages.
And on business news tonight, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is seeking another oil-backed loan to boost its finances.
On sports, defending champion Carlos Alcaraz beats Tommy Paul in 4 sets to set up another Wimbledon semi-final.
From the National Assembly, and the senators asked the federal government to, as a matter of urgency, take measures to tackle the current food insecurity in the country and then address the nation on steps taken to address the situation. Now, this single resolution follows a motion sponsored by the lawmaker representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Senator Karimi Sunday, on the urgent need to address food insecurity and market exploitation of consumables in Nigeria. Meanwhile, the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, who had earlier described the food situation as an emergency, noted that the federal government has begun the distribution of fertilizers. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Umezoke, reports.
The rising food inflation is a major focus as the Senate convenes for the first legislative day of the week. In a motion sponsored by lawmaker representing Kogi West Senatorial District, Senator Karimi Sunday, on the prevailing food insecurity across the country, lawmakers argue that the federal government must crucially ramp up intervention to halt the unfolding crisis.
Nobody should come and tell us they will distribute foodstuff from our silos. The silos are empty, Mr. President. So it means we have to import food. And if we have to import, it means we need foreign exchange. And that is scarce. We have to engage with administration.
FOA also indicated that over 32 million people are expected to face critical hunger crisis and emerging level between June and August. We have started seeing it visibly. People are hungry, very, very hungry.
In the ensuing debate, the President of the Senate apprised members of the latest development in the federal government's nationwide fertilizer distribution plan.
We need the fertilizer now, otherwise it will be useless after this month. It was decided that fertilizer should be given to the senators so that they can distribute to their constituents. For more than 3 months now, we are not seeing a single bag.
I'm re-echoing the voices of the Senate Committee Chairman on Agriculture. Irrespective of political parties, all the states, through their governors, are getting 60 trucks. The senators are getting 2 trucks, and the 2 trucks are 1,200. And then the House of Rep members are getting 1 truck.
However, the Senate President asserts that failure of the fertilizer trucks to reach the legislators by next week, Tuesday, the upper chamber will feel compelled to summon the Minister of Agriculture as well as the Central Bank Governor for interrogation.
On public sector reforms reviewed.
In another motion, the Senate asked the federal government to follow due process in implementing the Steve Oroshoye Committee report, which recommended the scrapping and merging of ministries, parastatals, agencies, commissions and boards to cut cost of governance.
There is therefore the need to promptly check this illegality by insisting that the right procedure for winding down a statutory agency like that of the Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board be followed.
If these agencies were merged and the law is still in existence, there will be conflict of interest. some people will work in accordance with the law as passed by the National Assembly, not knowing that that agency itself does no longer exist as an agency, but rather a department.
I don't want us to go into saying that the presidency is implementing the Orosanya report, because if the presidency wishes to implement the Orosanya report, due process must be followed.
Meanwhile, the Senate has passed through second reading a bill to prohibit all forms of violence in private and public life. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu today announced plans to create a federal Ministry of Livestock Development, which he says will help in boosting agricultural productivity, enhance export opportunities, and stimulate economic growth. The president disclosed this while inaugurating the Presidential Committee on Livestock Reforms at the Council Chamber in the State House. The committee, which is to be chaired by the president himself, with former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Tahiru Jega, serving as the deputy chairman of the committee, is expected to propose recommendations aimed at fostering a peaceful coexistence between herders and farmers while ensuring the security and economic well-being of Nigerians.
In a situation that is very confusing, I must mention here that I've discussed a number of occasions with the governors the need to see this opportunity, seize it, then run with it. From here, at this junction, I will appeal to remove every taint of partisan politics from it. We've identified the model for livestock management. It is done in other countries, in other climes, successfully promoted. It created great economy and empowerment for ordinary people. Traditional livestock system must be reformed to add significant and sustainable value to Nigerian socio-economic growth and development. This presents a unique opportunity also to delineate and establish a separate ministry called the Ministry of Livestock Development. We develop the economy, give people opportunity to excel.
Following a motion of urgent national importance sponsored by 88 members, the House of Representatives is asking the federal government to immediately suspend the implementation of the Samoa Agreement until all controversial clauses are addressed and spelt out. In moving the motion, a member from Kano State under the New Nigeria People's Party, Mr. Aliu Madaki, drew attention to the clause that highlights gender equality and describes it as a Trojan horse that could violate the morals of the country. Meanwhile, the Constitution Amendment Bill to improve women representation in Parliament through the introduction of special seats and another to introduce diaspora voting scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi has details of these and more from the lower legislative chamber.
The order paper is packed full, but the Green Chamber is not, as the Deputy Speaker arrives to preside over the first plenary session of the week. Lawmakers waste no time dealing with matters of urgent national importance, beginning with the disturbing recurring queues at petrol stations in some parts of the country. The House resolves to carry out a forensic investigation into the resurgence of fuel queues, as well as the alleged indiscriminate issuance of licenses for importation of PMS, importation of substandard petroleum products, as well as failure of regulators to do their job. The House then turns its attention to the controversial Samoa Agreement signed by the federal government and the European Union.
That the phrase gender equality, as reported, is a Trojan horse for deceptively bringing in all sorts of immorality to our country, as gender no longer means sexes, male and female, as traditionally understood. It now includes homosexualism, lesbianism, transgenderism, and animalism.
There is nothing like lesbian rights or gay rights. It is about human rights, environmental protection, and trade agreements. Period. How on earth? If you have the agreement, bring it out here.
Why are we here talking about LGBT, GTBT, whatever? Let us concentrate on the issues that matter. As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Speaker, our people are not interested in this, so let us step it down, let us close it, let us forget everything about it.
Where the federal government is going into an agreement, by the provisions of Section 12 of the Constitution, the Parliament ought to be carried along.
The resolution to suspend the implementation of the agreement is adopted, and the House mandates its relevant committees to liaise with the federal government to resolve all grey areas in the agreement. A bill to improve women participation in politics by altering the Constitution to provide for special seats for women draws a robust debate from lawmakers.
Each of these our political parties, some give women their forms for free. Some give the women their form for half the price already. So, Mr. Speaker, if you are saying we should create extra seats again, that is going against the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria that fights for equality.
I do not know of any law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that stops a woman from contesting election or winning a seat in the House of Representatives.
You are only giving us special seats. We are not taking your seats, the one that you are occupying. After all, that seat, you may not be there one day. It's somebody else that will be there.
I thought my colleague would say, let us extend this, that every deputy governor should be women. I will agree to that, Mr. Speaker. That is what is expected. I cannot stand here and tell you that we should not give women opportunity to participate in election. Let's give them a better opportunity.
Those who support this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The debate on the special seats bill is not that different from what transpired in the 9th House of Representatives on the same bill. It was eventually voted against. I guess we'll wait to see how lawmakers in the 10th House will vote. Meanwhile, the House has passed through second reading a bill to ensure that Nigerians outside the country participate in future elections. From the House of Representatives, Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the controversy generated by the Samoa Agreement is yet to abate as the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA, weighs in on the matter. Now, the NBA says that there is no provision in the agreement which requires Nigeria to accept or in any way recognize LGBTQ or gay rights. A statement signed by the president of the association, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Yakubu Mekiao, indicates that the agreement was expressly made subject to the local laws and the sovereignty of the contracting nations. Part of the statement reads, quote, "The Samoa Agreement recognizes, for instance, Nigeria's Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act 2023, and of course, the supremacy of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended," end quote. The NBA says if this were not the case, it would have since advised the federal government not to enter or engage in any form of partnership or agreement that has the ability to undermine the sovereignty of the country in any way. The association also calls on government to continue with the public enlightenment already being undertaken and for other stakeholders to join in as well in order to counter the negative perception being promoted on the agreement. In part two, after the break, an EFCC witness.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
between herders and farmers. The House of Representatives asked the federal government to immediately suspend the implementation of the Samoa Agreement until all controversial clauses are addressed and spelled out. And SANU and NASU staged nationwide protests within campuses of public universities to demand the immediate release of their seats in northern Nigeria as non-teaching staff of universities protest the non-payment of their withheld salaries. The action by members of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, and the Senior Staff Association of Universities, SANU, is in compliance with the directives from the national leadership of the two unions to embark on a one-day nationwide protest. The protesting university workers are accusing the federal government of reneging on its agreements with them.
Members of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, NASU, and the Senior Staff Association of Universities, SANU, march at the University of Abuja main campus to protest the non-payment of their withheld 4-month salaries. The protesters displayed placards with inscriptions demanding the payment of their withheld salaries.
We can no longer accept empty promises. Empty promises does not bring food on our table. Does it bring food on us our withheld 4-month salary? We work for it. It is earned. It is not an award. It is what we work for.
The situation is the same in campuses across states in the northern parts of the country. From the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria to the University of Jos, members of NASU and SANU held protests, making the same demands and calling for the sack of the Ministers of Labour and the Minister of Education.
We call for the immediate removal of the Minister of Education and the State Minister for Labour. We are calling for the government to act as quickly as possible in order to avoid the complete shutdown of the university system if nothing is done.
In March, we gave a warning to government, 1-week warning. And after our warning strike, government called for further dialogue. And as I speak with you, that dialogue did not make hay. And that was why you see us here had gathered again.
Forward ever! Forward ever!
In Zamfara and Birnin Kebbi, the two unions also protested, asking the federal government to act and prevent a looming industrial action.
We are going around within the campus, although our protest is a peaceful protest. So we go around to the campuses, then we go to the Vice Chancellor, we deliver our message to him so that he can take the message up and tell the federal government this is what is happening. Apart from our protest today, on the 18th of this month, July, we are going to Abuja to make another national protest.
We are doing this protest to show the country and Nigeria federal government that our grievances are yet to be met. The first in our grievances is the withheld 4-month salary 2022 by the previous administration, which we believe government is a continuous process. And with the taking side of paying other sister unions in the university and not paying SANU and NASU, is not a good one to the system.
The protesting university workers are demanding the payment of withheld salaries for 4 months and the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement with the federal government. Meanwhile, the protest did not hold in most states in the northeast, including Borno, Yobe, Gombe, Adamawa, Taraba, and Bauchi states. The national leadership of SANU and NASU had last week directed their members across the country to embark on a one-day nationwide protest, which will be followed with an indefinite strike should the government fail to meet their demands.
We're staying with the protests in the tertiary institutions, and in the southern part of the country, members of the Non-Academic Staff Union and Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities have also demonstrated to drive home their demands on better payments and release of arrears payments. According to them, the federal government and concerned parties should act fast to avoid affecting educational services of the institutions.
Members of the Non-Academic Staff Union and Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities combed the streets of states across the nation to drive home their demand for the payment of outstanding salaries and wages. From Lagos to other states in the southern region of the country, the call for an increase in their allowances form a significant part of their request. In Imo State, members walked peacefully, chanting solidarity songs, making their demands pronounced with hopes that governments and officials understand their plight and act accordingly.
All we are saying, we are pleading that our withhold 4-month salary should be paid to us, and also pleading to the federal government that 2009 agreement as overdue, that we need that agreement, the committee, to go back and commence their work so that the agreement between SANU, Jack of Nasu, and NAT to be reviewed so that we know our stand and what we are working with.
Elsewhere in Rivers State, officials of NASU and SANU took their demands to the authority of the state university, where they were briefed by the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Development.
Pay is important. The country is very difficult right now, and we understand your grievances. Unfortunately, we are not in the position to act on your requests. But as your leader pointed out, we do our best to pass on your message to the authorities in question. That is what we can promise to do.
Members of NASU and SANU of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, are not left out as they took time off their duty to stage a protest as directed by their respective national executive organs.
Our members have been pushed to war, and that is why we are coming today to let the populace know that the federal government are deliberately want to kill us. If they are killing us, and we are saying enough is enough.
July 18, we should expect a mega protest only in Abuja, because we are going to picket all the agencies of government that has to do with withholding of these 4 months withheld salaries. We will end it, we will top it at the Aso Rock and the National Assembly.
Coming off the back of a strike in March, which had adverse effect on the education sector and the economy generally, it is believed that preventing these unions from embarking on a full-blown strike will do the nation's tertiary education sector a world of good.
Critical stakeholders and leaders from the oil-producing communities in Imo State, comprising of Ohaji, Egbema, Uguta, and Oru East local government areas, have resolved to support the Hope Uzodinma administration's effort in tackling issues of pipeline vandalism and insecurity. Well, this was disclosed at a one-day town hall meeting organized by the Imo State government through the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and Intelligence. According to the leaders, there is need for a holistic approach to combating oil theft by empowering security agents and, of course, the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs with more tools to crack down on the perpetrators. Our correspondent, Eitokwe Kute, reports.
The menace of oil bunkering and oil theft have become a major issue of concern in the oil sector as revenue meant for the nation is cornered by economic saboteurs.
As a pharmacist.
Worried about this lingering trend, leaders, women, youth groups, as well as other critical stakeholders from the 3 Niger Delta communities in Imo State converge on the way the Imo State capital for this crucial meeting to discuss the way forward, especially as it affects oil-producing communities of Ohaji, Egbema, Oguta, and Oru East in the state. The event begins with the Imo State Commissioner for Niger Delta Affairs and Intelligence, Henry Okafo, highlighting the significance of the gathering.
The federal government has made it a task that illegal oil bunkering must stop. Two reasons. One is that it's a crime. Second one is an economic sabotage to the entire country. Thirdly, it causes environmental degradation, and the aquatic inhabitant and ecosystem are heavily affected.
Next, representatives of the various communities bear their minds on the challenges facing the region and how they think the matter should be dealt with.
The youth of the Oyo region have resolved that we will assist the government of the day, the federal government, the state government, in making sure that our place, the Oyo region of Imo State, is very much free from oil bunkering and illegal refineries.
We are asking the Niger Delta Commission, NDDC, to synergize with the security agencies and the communities.
For the Imo State Director of DSS, Wilcox Daminabo, working closely with host communities will go a long way in reducing the scourge of oil theft.
Since it is Niger Delta and intelligence, we shall continue to partner with you, work together to ensure that our people get the dividends of the blessings the Almighty has bestowed us with.
The meeting later broke out into a discussion session, after which stakeholders presented resolutions arrived at.
Stakeholders resolved to support in totality the government of Imo State, led by Senator Hope Uzodimma, in its effort to eradicate illegal oil bunkering and oil theft within Imo State.
Before the meeting came to a close, the Imo State government assures the stakeholders of government's continued support in putting a stop to oil bunkering in the state.
The governor, as a visionary, as a strategist, has made it one of his goals to ensure that there is nothing that is due to you as host communities, as affected communities, that will be denied you in any way, form, or manner.
With this well-attended meeting of leaders from the Niger Delta region and Imo State, hopefully the menace of oil theft and insecurity will be reduced to its barest minimum, thus paving the way for meaningful development of the Niger Delta region and Imo State. Channels Television News.
To the courts now, a business relationship manager with Zenith Bank PLC, Ifeoma Ogbonaya, has told a Lagos High Court sitting in Ikeja how funds were moved from the Central Bank of Nigeria through Zenith Bank to some accounts linked to Mrs. Margaret Emefiele, wife of the former governor of the CBN, that's the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. Ogbonaya, who is the fifth prosecution witness, testified in the trial of Godwin Emefiele and his co-defendant, Henry Omoile, on charges of alleged abuse of office to the tune of $4.5 billion and 2.8 billion naira. Led in evidence by the EFCC's prosecutor, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Rotimi Oyedepo, the witness told trial judge Rahman Oshodi that she never had any dealings with the former CBN governor, but testified that several transfers running into billions from the CBN were made into private companies linked to Mrs. Emefiele. The inflows were for services rendered by the companies for the CBN. She listed the private companies that received the cash flow from the CBN as Limelight Multidimensional Services Limited, Comex Support Services Limited, Answins Resources Solution Limited, and Mago Farm. Ogbonaya also told the court that some of the cash flows the accounts received. With no objections from the defense team, the court admitted in evidence the certificate of identification and the bundle of printed documents which contained the various transactions the witness purportedly carried out under Mrs. Emefiele's instructions. Justice Oshodi has also granted a request by Mr. Emefiele's lawyers to recall the first prosecution witness, Monday Osazua, for further cross-examination. And trial is then adjourned till tomorrow, July the 10th, for continuation. Still ahead on the news at 10, the Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited seeks another oil-backed loan to boost finances. That will be on Business News. Please join us again.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere. Keeping an eye on diseases emerging and re-emerging. Observe the body respond to the miracle of treatment. Watching requirements of medicine modified and the way we look at health evolve.
Bone marrow transplantation is not surgery. I always like to reiterate that. It's actually like transfusing blood into your vein.
Keep pace with new trends and find the answers. See the full picture on Health Matters, because you deserve to know.
Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital where Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ariel. We now turn attention to the lower legislative chamber where a heated exchange occurred in the House of Representatives between the Minister of Women Affairs, Mrs. Uju Kennedy Ohaneye, and the House Committee on Women Affairs today. The minister was summoned to address concerns about the ministry's spending, including the debt-owed contractors, totaling 1.5 billion naira. The committee chairman, Honorable Kafilat Obara, who was visibly upset with the minister's attitude, adjourned the meeting indefinitely.
The House Committee on Women Affairs meets with the Minister of Women Affairs over alleged misconduct and mismanagement of funds.
Please, we are getting the warrants. Put it there. Take note.
Things get heated from the get-go as the committee inquires about non-payment of contractors.
And start from my sister's question on the monies for the contractors, why they were not paid. Please, and be direct. Thank you.
When I mentioned that 2020, I was not there, I was attacked. Like
2023.
No, you said that I said 2020, I was not there. And you said you took an excuse. I'm just trying to put some things straight.
The procurement officer has made it clear that by procurement law, before they even award the contract, they will ensure that there is fund to fund that job. So apparently the money was there. So why were they not paid? Please, I just want the answer straight. Don't waste our time.
By law, letters are not awarded for contracts until funding is available. We all know that as a procurement rule. And he is insisting that these monies were available before those letters were awarded in 2023. But now we also need to juxtapose that with the comments of the DFA that says the releases he got did not specify what projects they were exactly for.
You did say...
Things get more heated when a member of the committee accuses the Director of Finance of the ministry of changing his story to cover up for the minister.
You have deviated because you did say, yes, there was release of money and you take instruction from the principal. And there and then, I confronted permanent secretary. He said he was not in the know. And I still making my statement that you are running the ministry with your minister. I take exception. I take exception. Honorable member. Don't interrupt. I take exception. Don't interrupt. Honorable member. Please let her finish. I am not going to interrupt you. I don't want it. She should not be off your mic. Honorable minister will not be accused here. I cannot be accused and I keep quiet.
Honorable Minister, I think the committee is being so lenient with you. You are attacking the supremacy, the autonomy of this institution. We cannot come to your ministry and shout at you the way you're doing.
The Honorable Minister doesn't want to calm down. She doesn't want us to go to the root of this matter. She's challenging the committee. She's, being rude to even honorable members. And this is very insulting and highly unacceptable. We are going to have a report to the leadership of the House that the Honorable Minister is not allowing us to do our job.
The committee chairman angrily adjourns the hearing.
We are only asking you to account account for the monies that was paid to you. And you are speaking about monies that was released. We are all aware that the only item that was not released is that single large item. That 10 billion, over 10 billion item. We are all aware. We don't want anybody to come here to play on our intelligence. We are only concerned about these poor Nigerians, that their monies are being withheld, that are being misappropriated to pay some other contractors for other projects that we are not appropriated for. This sitting is hereby adjourned sine die. Thank you very much.
The committee vows to ensure that all the monies owed contractors are paid and that it will trace all allegedly diverted funds.
Well, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it is now ready to begin the implementation of the Supreme Court's judgment on fresh delineation of wards and polling units in Warri Federal Constituency. Now, speaking at a stakeholders meeting at the Government House Annex in Warri, Delta State, the National Commissioner who represented the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, insists that the exercise must go on as directed by the court. On their part, stakeholders assured the Commission of their support and readiness for the exercise. The People's Democratic Party in Edo State says President Bola Tinubu will not meddle in the September 21 governorship election, even as the party is also insisting that ongoing litigations in court will not derail the laid out campaign plans. The Director General of the PDP Campaign Council in Edo State, Mr. Matthew Iduriyi Keme, who stated this in an interview at the party secretariat in Benin City, also says the opposition is trying to distract the public with the cases in court. Earlier, the PDP Campaign Council had staged a solidarity rally. The flag bearers of the PDP in the September 21 governorship poll, Mr. Aswe Igudalo, and his running mate, Osarodion Ogie, led the procession through some major streets in the state capital. That's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo.
Many thanks, Gloria. Despite its pivotal place in the sustenance of the Nigerian economy, the Niger Delta region is ironically plagued by deficit in infrastructure, a situation that has lingered over the years. Now, in a bid to address the issues of infrastructural gaps, the Niger Delta Development Commission, the NDDC, looks set to hold its stakeholders summit in Port Harcourt, River State, to discuss ways on how best to provide the needed interventions going forward. The Niger Delta, a densely populated coastal region, accounts for more than 75% of Nigeria's crude oil export earnings, with over 1.5 million barrels extracted daily. However, the region keeps grappling with issues from poor infrastructure to decay in existing ones, even as the people experience poverty and underdevelopment. Just like the East-West Road project still causes untold hardship to motorists.
Every atom of the suffering you are seeing here is a failure on the part of government to take priority right. So our appeal here today is that whilst every other projects are important in other places, the issue of East-West Road must be given the #1 priority right now.
Since the year 2001, the NDDC has undertaken 10,945 projects. Recently, the current board of the NDDC commissioned some legacy projects, including the 25.7-kilometer Ogbia-Nembe Road in Bayelsa State, the Ibeno Road and Bridge in Akwa Ibom State, and the 8.3 billion naira Okitikpukpa transmission substation in Ondo State, to name a few.
Under the administration of the new Minister of Niger Delta, with the Managing Director of NDDC and his team, and the board member, Sam Opogu, he has taken it a step further. What I'm seeing is amazing.
The Commission is also constructing a regional cardiovascular and orthopedic specialist hospital in Port Harcourt to cater to the people's health needs. The NDDC will this week hold the Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit with the theme, Renewed Hope for Sustainable Development of the Niger Delta Region. The summit, which will take place in Port Harcourt, is expected to provide a platform for new ideas and strategies to fast-track development in the Niger Delta in line with the Renewed Hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu.
The democracy we're running, it is a participatory democracy where you must bring the leadership and the followers together for understanding. However, This is the reason why we in NDDC are holding the Stakeholders Summit tagged Renewed Hope for Sustainable Development.
In anticipation of the Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit, residents and stakeholders are setting the agenda aimed at redirecting development of the oil-rich region.
We suggest that that summit should concentrate on the development plans that have been in existence for the Niger Delta, and also update it to new realities on ground.
It is expected that the Niger Delta Stakeholders Summit, billed for July the 10th to the 13th in Port Harcourt, will take actionable steps towards a change of approach to the development of the Niger Delta. Duchess International Hospital has been awarded the Private Tertiary Healthcare Facility of the Year at the 2024 Nigerian Healthcare Excellence Awards. Announcing the award at a press conference in Lagos, the Chief Executive Officer of the Duchess International, Dr. Adetokunbo Shitabe, said the award reflects the hospital's unwavering commitment to providing affordable, world-class healthcare in Nigeria.
The chairman of Duchess Hospital and Reddington Hospital Group, Dr. Adeyemi Onobowale, is all smiles as he receives one of the much-coveted awards presented to Duchess Hospital at the Nigerian Healthcare Excellence Awards 2024. The Private Tertiary Healthcare Facility of the Year award means so much to the healthcare provider who is barely 3 years in operation in Nigeria.
This place was a dusty old room.
In celebrating the award, the Chief Executive Officer, Adetokunbo Shitabe, recalls the facility built on a humble beginning and grew over time consistent with professionalism, tenacity, and sincerity of purpose.
The reason we exist is to provide that access to affordable world-class healthcare. As we have said repeatedly, the fastest, most convenient access to the best medical expertise available anywhere in the world.
Dr. Shitabe adds that the award further validates Nigerians' trust on Duchess Hospital.
Have services like ours that they feel that they can trust now and that they can bring themselves and their loved ones to. That we are winning that trust battle. And I hope that being the recipients of this award, it is further validation of the progress that we have made here.
The chairman of Duchess Hospital and Reddington Group offers words of commendation to the management and staff of Duchess Hospital for their dedication to work and commitment to vision.
I'm delighted that Duchess has been able to impact and transform the lives of numerous Nigerians who seek health care. And they've been able to make a difference. Once again, sir, I want to congratulate you and your team. And then I say, well done.
Duchess International Hospital was nominated for the Private Tertiary Healthcare Facility Award category alongside 6 private hospitals across the country. It is the youngest private hospital to win the prestigious prize in 10 years of the Nigeria Healthcare Excellence Awards.
Business News is up next with Will Ibom.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, is in talks for another oil-backed loan to strengthen its finances and support business investments. The Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited, Mr. Mele Kyari, made this known in an interview with Reuters. The state-backed oil company aims to raise at least $2 billion as its debts to gasoline suppliers have doubled to $6 billion in the past 4 months. Mr. Kyari confirmed that the company seeks a loan against 30,000 to 35,000 barrels per day of crude production, with the fund supporting overall business activities. Currently, NNPC Limited has a $3.3 billion all-back loan through Afrexim Bank. However, rising fuel subsidy costs have strained its cash flow. To some company news now. Listed Tier 1 financial institution Guarantee Trust Holding Company GTCO says it plans to raise 400 billion naira fresh funds from the capital markets as it prepares to commence a public offering this month. The group CEO of GTCO, Mr. Segun Agbaje, who made this known at his Facts Behind the Offer presentation event at the Nigerian Exchange in Lagos, explained that the group was planning to raise the capital before the recapitalization directive announced by the central bank in March. The public offer is expected to commence this month and last for 21 business days.
Over the years, Financial Services Group GTCO has consistently demonstrated remarkable leadership, innovation and resilience in the financial sector through its subsidiary GT Bank. It rides on this wave of success to raise capital from the investing public. The Group Chief Executive Officer of GTCO, Mr. Segun Agbaje, sees this step as a necessary one to contribute to the $1 trillion economy vision of President Bola Tinubu.
I've heard so many comments. Banks don't need equity. Why do banks need equity? Banks need equity. We've just gone through about a 200% devaluation. For those who understand the impact of that, the balance sheets have shrunk. The ability to do business has reduced. The country's also saying it wants a 1 trillion economy. You are not going to achieve a 1 trillion economy at this size of banks if you do not raise capital.
Nigeria's stock market is the perfect stop for this, and the chairman of the NGX Limited, Mr. Ahosi Unuigbe, points out some of the impressive figures of the company.
GTCO has continued to demonstrate robust financial performance and growth through expansion into new markets and the introduction of innovative products and services. This is evidenced through GTCO's recent increase of 120% in gross earnings to 1.19 trillion naira as of last year from the previous year, and a profit after tax of 539.65 billion naira, reflecting a financially robust business that is amongst one of the top performers in the industry today.
In its most recent financial performance, GTCO recorded over 120% in gross earnings from the previous year at 1.19 trillion naira, profit before tax of 609.3 billion naira, and profit after tax of 539.65 billion naira. The holding company plans to issue a total of 9 billion ordinary shares of 50 kobo each at an offer price of 44 naira 50 kobo per ordinary share at the Nigerian Exchange Limited. Proceeds of the public offer will fund expansion plans across Africa, upgrade its technology infrastructure, acquire PFA asset management, and lend to corporates as well as small and medium enterprises. With this public offer, GTCO expects to be the first Nigerian company to achieve a $1 billion profit as it awaits final approval from the Securities and Exchange Commission to commence this month.
Still talking equity, let's check in on the domestic stock market. We traded further down in today's session as investors took profit in banking stocks. John Mekwa tells us more.
Thank you so much, Will. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, unfortunately, at the close of trade at the NGX today, we lost that 100,000 level, which was our comfort at the close of Monday's trade. Today, the market closed at 99,805.95 after going down 0.20%. The good thing, however, is we still have the 56 trillion naira. But you notice we lost some billions here, about 114 billion naira is what we lost here. So we have 56.45 trillion naira at the close of the day. Fugas have a lot to do about this. So while we have a lot of activities, issues, right issues at the market from the bank, especially the Tier 1 banks, we see that there's also profit taken on the other side. And so we see the Fugas down today from FBN Holdings to UBA to GTCO to Accessco to Zenith Bank. So no wonder the market closed in the red. But oil and gas is still surging. That's when we we look at the sectors, we see it up at the close of trade today, 0.39%. Eternal Oil joined MRS and O&O to do good. Consumer recovered after about 2 negative trade because of Cadbury and Dangote Sugar, as well as Unilever. So we see it in the green, but banking, the figures, of course, almost 2% down. I guess it's temporal. When the banks finish recapitalization, we'll see investor sentiment booster again. But for today, we just have to do with the bear.
Let's see if other major equities...
So easy, so simple. Dial star 894 hash now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thank you, Will. Sami Puzi is up next with our international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. US President Joe Biden has condemned a wave of Russian missile strikes that killed at least 38 people in Ukraine as a horrific reminder of Russia's brutality as he vowed to strengthen Kyiv's air defenses. At least 190 people were injured across the country, including some at a children's hospital in the capital, Kyiv. The US president said further boosts to Ukraine's air defenses would be announced. It comes as leaders from the 32 NATO member states, their partner countries and the EU are gathering to mark the 75th anniversary of NATO. The summit will focus on defense and deterrence in the context of the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
You're going to see some announcements on air defense. You're going to see some announcements on deterrence capabilities, not just with respect to helping Ukraine, but boosting the alliance. You're going to see some announcements with respect to the defense industrial base. And you're going to see, as I alluded to, some discussion about Ukraine's path to NATO and what that can look like, and a reaffirmation of what the president has long said, that NATO is in Ukraine's future.
Palestinians in Gaza City say they have experienced one of the most intense Israeli bombardments since Israel launched its war on Hamas. Columns of Israeli tanks are reported to be closing in on the center of the city from several different directions. The Gaza Civil Emergency Service says it believes a number of people have been killed. The Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital is reported to have been evacuated, with its patients being taken to one of the only medical facilities still functioning in the area, the already overcrowded Indonesian hospital. Jury selection has begun in the case of the actor Alec Baldwin, who is due to go on trial in New Mexico for a fatal shooting on the set of the Western film Rust in October 2021. Mr. Baldwin faces involuntary manslaughter charges, which he denies. The trial will determine whether he should be held criminally liable in the death of the cinematographer Helena Hutchins. The 42-year-old was killed after a gun Mr. Baldwin was using in a scene rehearsal went off. A bullet from the gun fatally struck the cinematographer and wounded director Joel Souza. Opening statements are expected on Wednesday. China's biggest electric car maker, BYD, has agreed a $1 billion deal to set up a manufacturing plant in Turkey as it continues to expand outside its home country. The new plant will be able to produce up to 150,000 vehicles a year, according to a Turkish news agency. The facility is expected to create around 5,000 jobs and start production by the end of 2026. The deal was signed at an event in Istanbul attended by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and BYD's chief executive, Wang Chuangfu. The UK government says England's regional mayors have met Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner and Prime Minister Keir Starmer to discuss a major programme of devolution. Ms Rayner, who is also Community Secretary, said for too long Westminster had tightly gripped control and held back opportunities for towns, cities and villages across the UK. She said the Downing Street meeting was aimed at shifting power out of Westminster towards the regions. Labour has made growing the economy one of its 5 missions for government. Third Avenue Bridge, which connects New York's the Bronx to Manhattan, has got stuck in an open position due to the high heat. FDNY officers arrived in boats and fired water at the structure to try and cool down the metal, which expanded after high temperatures in the city. The incident caused major traffic delays during one of the hottest days of the year in New York, but reopened on the same day. And thousands of people have been demonstrating against mass tourism in Barcelona. Footage filmed in the Spanish city over the weekend shows diners in popular tourist areas being squirted with water pistols and crowds of protesters chanting "Tourists go home." Barcelona is Spain's most visited city. Some 12 million people go there every year. The protesters say that this has led to a lack of housing and soaring rents for residents. The mayor recently pledged to eliminate short-term tourist lets in the city within 5 years. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. We are counting down to the Paris Olympic Games, and Team Nigeria's medal prospect Sebrume is confident of improving her performance at the Tokyo Games, where she won bronze in the women's long jump event. With 17 days to the world's biggest multi-sports event, the reigning African champion says she has the right preparations and is bracing up for the challenge in Paris. The Euros now. Spain came from behind to defeat France 2-1 a few minutes ago and reached the finals of the Euro in 12 years, where they will face the Netherlands or England. Randall Colomani headed France into an early lead, but Lamine Yamal curled in a brilliant equalizer to become the youngest goal scorer in the competition's history, and then almost a 25th-minute strike proved to be the winner of the game. And that's your Sporting Tonight. It's back to Ayotunde.
Thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The Senate today asked the federal government